Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV, and we're taking a look today at a new phone from Blue. This is their S1, and it's a lower cost unlocked phone that starts at around $179. And what's unique about this one, at least coming from Blue, is that it supports Sprint here in the United States as a carrier. So most of the Blue phones previously supported AT&T and T-Mobile here. Now they're adding Sprint to the mix, which uses a different set of technology for some of their wireless communications. So we'll talk more about how this works with Sprint in just a second, but I do want to mention, in the interest of full disclosure, this came in free of charge from Blue. However, nobody is paying for this review, and no one has reviewed this content before it has been uploaded, and all the opinions are my own. So let's get into this and see how this works. Now, this phone is $179 as configured, and Sprint is running a promotion right now that if you bring this phone or another compatible phone to their network, they will give you a $200 gift card for signing up for a postpaid account. That is not to be confused with a prepaid account. It's the kind of account where you get a bill every month, and what they'll do is give you that $200 gift card, and you end up $20 ahead of the game. The other thing I like about these phones is that they give you the accessories in the box here. So you get a plastic case here for the back of the phone. You get the earbuds here. These are in-ear earbuds. You also get, of course, the charging cable and the charger, and they give you a screen protector for the front of the phone as well. The phone is glass, but you can never be too careful with this stuff, so you get all those accessories that you usually pay extra for from your carrier in the box with the phone, which was nice to see on that. Now, I did test this on Verizon, and it did work in the sense that I can make a voice phone call, but I couldn't get any data to work on it. So if you are on Verizon, it's really not going to be all that useful as a smartphone, but if you have to, in a pinch, make a phone call, you can do it on here. The LTE data, though, does work on Sprint, T-Mobile, and AT&T here in the United States, and I'll take a look. I'll put some bands up on the description or a link to them so you can see if it might be compatible overseas as well. The screen here is a 5.2-inch IPS display, 720p, nice and bright, really looks very nice as I'm going through some stuff on the web and other places. Good color balance on it, very nice for an inexpensive phone. It's got a MediaTek 6750 processor built in, along with a Mali T860 GPU. 2 gigs of RAM and 16 gigabytes of storage, so it is a little limited on that front, but you can put in a micro SD card on the SIM tray, so you can get a little more expanded storage on here if you want. It is running Android 7.0 Nougat, so it is relatively up to date with the Android operating system. 136 grams or 4.8 ounces, so not all that heavy. There is a fingerprint reader here at the bottom. It's not, oops, I'm dropping the phone here. It's not always the most accurate, but it does get me in most of the time. I did have to re-register my finger once to get that working there. The bottom of the phone has a micro USB connector for charging, so you, of course, get that in the box and it will charge with just about any USB charger. On the top here, you have a headphone jack for plugging in those earbuds or other compatible earbuds that you want, and of course, it has Bluetooth built in as well. It also has Wi-Fi, but the Wi-Fi is not wireless AC. It is only running on wireless G and N at 2.4 gigahertz, but I think for the amount of horsepower in this phone, it's probably just fine. Your SIM card slot is here. It uses the nano SIMs, so make sure you've got the right size SIM card for that. On the back here, you've got a camera. There is a 13 megapixel camera with a 2.0 aperture. Does okay. It's not the best camera out there, but it's, again, a $179 phone, so I wasn't expecting all that much. It does shoot video at 1080p at 30 frames per second. The video is okay. It's not great. None of these phones usually do great video, but it does have electronic image stabilization. You can see an example of that here. Didn't work all that great, but it was better than not having any stabilization at all, so it is a little better on that front. But again, the overall video quality wasn't terrific, and the photo quality was okay as well. Now, the build quality on this one is not bad. I like the glass screen here. It feels pretty nice and robust. I don't believe it's Gorilla Glass, though. They didn't mention that in the product specs. The back, though, is plastic, so if you are looking for a better built phone, there is another Blue phone that costs $199 that does have a metal back called the Life One X2. It also has a higher resolution 1080p display, but it doesn't support Sprint. And I think one of the issues here is expanding carrier compatibility while trying to keep the price below $200. So I think that's the result there, is a lower resolution display and a plastic build here. So just keep that in mind if you're looking for a better built phone and you're on AT&T or T-Mobile. You do have more options, but your options are more limited on Sprint and Verizon, of course. And battery life on the phone is very good. We got through a workday with it and still had some charge left at the end of the day. The more you hit the phone with video and games and whatnot, the more you'll see that battery life decline. But I think for casual smartphone usage, it does have decent battery life, good standby time, and we didn't see anything that alarmed us on that front. And performance on the phone feels pretty good for the price point. It's not going to blow you away or anything, but it does respond pretty snappily to screen presses here. And if you're browsing the web, things do pop up relatively fast enough for casual web browsing and whatnot. So pretty good on that front. It also works well, of course, with the YouTube app and other apps that you might want to run on here. So video playback we found to be pretty decent on here. We'll find a video real quick and load that up. Hey, look at that. There I am. So we'll pop that open here and you can see how everything comes together there. Again, only a 720p display on here, but it does run a bulk of the Android library, including many games, of course. So we'll pop open Grand Theft Auto Vice City here and continue the game that we were playing, and it seems to be playing just fine. I'll pop it up here, a decent frame rate with the low-end processor in here, but generally, most of the games and apps you'll find on the App Store are targeting low-end devices because that makes up a bulk of the installed user base. So this works just fine. We'll pop out of here and maybe go over to Minecraft real quick so you can see how it's running on here. And this phone only has 2 gigabytes of RAM, so you will have a little bit more of a delay when you are jumping in between games or apps and whatnot as you're going around here. But as you can see, Minecraft is also working pretty decently on here too. So decent phone for some of these casual games and whatnot, and it seems to be performing about where I've seen other phones around its price point perform. And we also ran the 3D Mark slingshot test, and on that one we got a score of 445. Which puts it just below the Life 1 X2 we looked at, which again costs about $20 more. By the way, those phones also have 4 gigabytes of RAM and 64 gigabytes of storage for that $20 uptick in price. So again, I think if you're not on Sprint, you might want to look at that one instead. But nonetheless, the performance here is decent enough. We also took a look a few months ago at the Blue R1 Plus, which goes for about $100, and you can see that it is significantly faster than that phone that costs about $80 less than this one does. So for the price point, it seems to be performing where I would expect it to. And when you're playing those games or listening to those YouTube videos or whatever, the speaker here at the bottom is quite loud, which is a good thing. It's not great for music listening, of course. You'll probably want to plug in some headphones for that, but if you're doing a lot of speakerphone calls or just like to watch some YouTube videos without having headphones plugged in, the speaker on here was pretty adequate for that. And all in, it's a decent phone for under $200. There are phones that may have higher specifications, even from Blue, that don't cost all that much more. But those phones don't work on the Sprint network or some of the MVNO networks that use Sprint. And that's a big differentiator because there are not many sub $200 phones unlocked that you can get for Sprint and Verizon here in the US. So it's good to start seeing some additional options for that. So I think if you're on T-Mobile or AT&T, there are probably better options out there from Blue and other companies. But if you are on Sprint and looking for something cheap, this will do it. And it's actually not a bad phone for the price point, especially given its compatibility. That'll do it for the Blue S1, and this is Lon.TV. Thanks for watching.
This channel is brought to you by my Patreon supporters, including gold level supporters, the Black Eyed and Blues Music Hour podcast, Chris Allegretta, and Kalyan Kumar. If you want to help the channel, you can by contributing as little as $1 a month. Head over to Lon.TV/Patreon to learn more. And don't forget to subscribe. Visit Lon.TV/S.